Have you ever felt like becoming a better singer, learning how to sing is just too fucking hard, right? It's going to take way too long. It takes a very, very long time. It's going to take a lot of practice to become a better singer, right? People say that it takes 10,000 hours to master any given skill, right? Who has 10,000 hours to spare to become a better singer? And when you put that into a time frame, we're going to unpack that in a second, it becomes unrealistic to spend that much time on singing. And physical strength, it's going to take a lot of physical strength. You're not feeling like a particularly strong singer. You don't have a particularly strong voice. You're not naturally gifted with a strong, powerful voice, right? You're going to have to develop a strong chest voice. It's going to take more time. You're going to have to develop a head voice. That's going to take a lot of time and practice too. You're going to have to develop a strong mixed voice, more time. You need some strong support, right? And we're just stacking on the hours. We're just stacking on the time, the amount of work and the physical strength that we're going to need to become a better singer, right? What if I told you it had nothing to do with the amount of time that you spend practicing, and it has nothing to do with physical strength either, right? Let's talk about time first. When it comes to mastering an instrument, yet time is definitely a factor. Singing is a little bit different because you are the instrument, but if you want to learn to shred on guitar, you're going to have to spend time. You're just going to have to spend time, woodshedding that thing and really get to that point working with a metronome. There's ways to fast track that, absolutely, but you definitely need to spend time practicing. But what if you're on a specific time frame? This time of year, as I'm doing this video, June, July, August, I get a lot of guys going out on tour. There's all the European tours that are out there, right? The festivals. So for the past couple of months, we've been working towards that, right? They have a, 2-3 month window to practice and get in shape for those festivals, right? And sometimes, people get a record deal out of that, right? If they're a smaller band, and they don't have a label, they'll get a record deal out of that because they're playing on these festivals with these big bands. There's those kind of guys there, right? So then a couple of months after the tours are done, say it's, August, that kind of thing, by the start of next year, people are going to be looking at making records. They would have signed a deal, they would have been on tour, done some more shows, done their commitments, and then they're going to go in and make a record, right? So they're on a limited time frame to really get their voice in shape and get to that level that they want to be the best singer they possibly can to go on their first record, that kind of thing. Now, if we're talking 10,000 hours, people say it's 10,000 hours to master any given skill. If you get off tour, you sign with a label, and they want you to make a record in January, something like that, to put 10,000 hours of work into your voice in that time frame, you would have to spend, you can test my math here, something like 10,000 divided by 4 divided by 3, something like that. What, 800, 900, something like that, hours a week that you would have to spend singing. That doesn't exist. That time doesn't exist. How are you going to get in shape? How do people get themselves in shape? It's obviously not about time. You're obviously catching my drift of what this is about. And if you're anything like me, you're probably a shitload older than your favorite singers were in their prime, right? It's not about time. Paul Rodgers was all of about 16 or 17 on the first free record in 1968, Tons of Sobs, right? I'm 40. I'm pretty sure I've spent a shitload more time singing in the past 25 years than Paul Rodgers had spent when he was 16, right? And I would still say that I don't sing that well. No one sings that well. It's Paul Rodgers, for fuck's sake. You see what I mean? It's not about the time that you spend doing something. And I'm sure there's tons of you out there that have spent 5 years on YouTube, on the YouTube loop, or 10 years on the YouTube loop. I took singing lessons actively, weekly singing lessons with a whole host of different teachers for was about 8 years, 7 or 8 years, something like that, actively. And I took a little bit of a break at the end because I wasn't any better than when I started. I was much less confident, definitely less confident than when I started out, because I now knew all this stuff that I was supposed to know, right? And I couldn't really do it well. And we were talking 7 or 8 years of practicing this stuff. I've got to tell you though, the last coach that I went to, I've actually met and worked with and exchanged ideas with all kinds of coaches over the years and all kinds of singers. But the last coach that I actively went to for training, I made more progress with my singing in about 2 weeks than I'd made in the prior 8 years, because it was all about making the right choices. So let's unpack the strength thing, right? Again, this goes with the time thing. Again, I've spent a ton more time singing, and you've probably spent a ton more time singing than a 21-year-old Lane Staley had spent singing and building the strength in his voice, on Facelift or Dirt or however old those guys were at that time. Or Chris Cornell. How old was Chris Cornell on Ultra Mega OK with singing songs like Beyond the Wheel? It's crazy high range. Again, we're talking about 20 years old, right? You've probably spent more years and more hours singing and building the muscles than he had. And if I can really drive this point home, I'm sure you've seen MTV Unplugged with Lane Staley. That is not a physically well or strong person or a physically well or strong voice, right? He sings better than most people, even in that kind of state, right? If I can be diplomatic there. It's not about physical strength and physical ability to kind of push the voice up. It's all about the choices that you make. And this is what changed for me. And this is really what has changed for me over the years. I actually spend less time kind of woodshedding and workshopping my voice and way more time actually singing now than I did many, many years ago before I could really sing well. I know you're probably thinking, it's just part of the process. You need to practice and go through this, But it's really about perfect practice and perfect singing. You don't need to practice mixed voice for 10,000 hours to sing a mixed voice note. You need to sing the right fucking note in the right way to sing a mixed voice note. And that's what all that practice goes into. So you can cut that time right down by making the right sounds and making the right choices. Let me give you an example. Say we're going with Paul Rodgers, right? Say we're singing, company, always on the run, destiny moves the rising sun. There's no way in hell I ever imagined I'd be able to sing in that range or sing like that or even, sing a Paul Rodgers song in that octave. I used to sing all this stuff an octave down. Company, always on the run. This is where I used to sit, right? Let's look at those choices. You could practice, ma, ma, ma exercises. Ma, 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 ma. 4,000 hours, 10,000 hours, a billion hours. You could do that for the rest of your life. And you're still not going to change your behavior when you sing the song, right? I'm very carefully choosing my vowel sounds. And this is what you need to learn, right? Let's break that down, right? When I sing always, right? I'm not going to sing always, right? Or, obviously Aussie accent. You probably don't have an Aussie accent. But if I try and do that, company, I'm already like seizing up always, because you can't really sing with a thick Aussie accent when you're doing this stuff, right? Let's open it right up, right? Let's open it right up like more of an American sound. And Paul Rodgers is British, but just for argument's sake, right? Let's go for ah. I've seen tons of videos out there where people are like, man, the secret to great singing is singing la, ah, right? Company, ah. What the fuck is going on there, right? I'm just shouting. I can't pitch it. That's really uncomfortable. I'm not going to get through a set of songs like that, right? The right choice here will be something more akin to the word earnest or earn or early. Now, I'm not talking about, earn with an R sound. Imagine you just open your mouth, or it's like dirt, D-I-R-T without the D, without the R, right? So we go, company, always on the run. Hear that? Always on the run. No exercise, no amount of training, no amount of hours spent is going to show you the right sound that you need to sing to actually apply any of this stuff. So becoming a better singer is absolutely not about the amount of time you spend. Like I said, I'm a hell of a lot older than all of my favorite singers were in their prime, right? I'm 20 years older than Sebastian Bach was on that first Skid Row record, most likely. I'm 25 years older than Paul Rodgers was on that first Free record, and all those great bands from the late 60s that I love. Mark Farner, Blue Cheer, all of those bands, Cream, right? It's definitely not about time. And then when it comes to physical strength, it's definitely not about physical strength. If you're putting a lot of energy into your singing or effort into your singing, you're making the wrong choices. You can see this stuff is, completely easy. Let's look at the chorus, right? Bad company, I can't deny. Bad company, oh yeah. again, there's no physical element to that where I'm like trying to push this sound out. It's about the right vowel and about the right choice. So becoming a better singer doesn't take a horrendous amount of time. It doesn't take an unholy amount of strength to become a better singer. You need to make the right choices. I'm going to share a video right here about making the right vowel sounds. This is what this is all about. This is what I'm always going to talk about. It really is about the vowel sounds. This is what's changed my life as a singer. If you really want to take it that step further, there's a link down below. You can download a blueprint vocal guide thingamajiggy that I've put together. It's much more articulate in written form than I am when I'm speaking. There's a whole guide to singing there. There's some free vowel modification videos that you can check out. So hit the link down there. If you want to watch another YouTube video, hit this link right now. Hit the subscribe. We've got links everywhere going on. And we're going to talk soon. It's all about your choices. It's not about time. It's not about strength. It's not even about funny fucking sounds. It's about making the right choices, especially within your vowels. We'll talk soon.